Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur and welcome to my channel. And today we are going to talk about PayPal and their controversial $2,500 fine for spreading of misinformation. Now, the last time we were on this channel, at least I think this was the last time we were on this channel, and we did a live stream episode of the Apptrepreneur show, we talked in general about this new PayPal policy in which if you were deemed to be spreading misinformation or fake news or things of that nature, that PayPal, rather than just simply suspending your account, would instead fine you about $2,500. Now, we talked about the dangers of this, like, well, what constitutes as misinformation? What constitutes as fake news? Now, I've made it very clear, I do think fake news and misinformation is a major problem. It's bad for everyone. You don't want to get people riled up and doing stupid things over something that is just quite simply not true. Like, you don't want to do it. And I'm not going to start citing examples of what is fake news and what is false information and whatnot. Basically, I think you can believe whatever you want to believe so long as you are not actively hurting someone. And unfortunately, some of this information goes beyond believing that Elvis is still alive or that man didn't actually land on the moon, which is, you know, kind of dumb to believe, but it doesn't really hurt anyone. But some misinformation is getting really bad, and that's why some lawmakers are putting pressure on these companies to reel in the misinformation. Of course, the problem is that sometimes the misinformation or the hate speech, so-called hate speech, I should say, isn't actually misinformation or it isn't hate speech. Sometimes it is just a difference of opinion. Sometimes there is something that is being actively debated by scientists and politicians. And sometimes just simply not liking something means you don't like that thing. It doesn't mean that you hate the person or you're racist or you hate the religion. You just, hey, maybe you just don't like this movie or this song, and that's perfectly fine. Now, my opinion of it at the time was basically PayPal wasn't trying to control your speech, despite what some people said. They just want extra money. PayPal is known for docking your PayPal account for all these little minor infractions, for breaking policies that have been super vague for years. In fact, my very first video on this platform was about a YouTube scam because PayPal did in fact scam me. I sold a signed Michael Jackson record, which was like a day after he died, and I sold it for like $3,000. It was some ridiculous amount of money. And so I shipped it, I had the guy sign for it and everything, and the guy made a complaint that the item was not as described, even though he got exactly what was in the picture and it was signed by Michael Jackson. But I figure, well, look, I've got over 300 feedbacks on my eBay account. This guy has 2. One of them is from me, and the other one was from over a year ago. So clearly, PayPal's going to side with me. But no, PayPal didn't do that. They sided with him. And the only good thing about that story is that I had already withdrawn my money. So basically, he couldn't get it anymore. He you know, I had to change the checking account number so that PayPal couldn't go into my bank account to get the $3,000. But I think ultimately that guy only got like $100 or so from me while I, you know, changed bank accounts and stuff. So I know that PayPal is definitely a shady company. Well, anyway, this $2,500 policy, which again, I think it's just because PayPal wanted to make more money. I don't think they were trying to control speech or anything. Got put under a microscope, and PayPal basically revoked the $2,500 fine. Although, did they really revoke it? Because a few days later, it started trending again, PayPal that is, that, hey, they reinstated the $2,500 fine. And let's kind of take a look at this article from Forbes because I think this might clear up some of the confusion. First of all, it should be noted that the $2,500 fine has been in place since 2013. And for those of you who are not aware, that was before 45 became president. So this has been in place for a while. It wasn't in response to supporters of 45. Like, this is not what it was. This was something that PayPal had just thought about early on. Like, hey, if we can catch people basically lying through their teeth on the internet and collecting donations, then we can collect $2,500. And they would do that rather than close down the account because usually these conspiracy theories, they get a lot of donated money from suckers who are willing to just give them money to tell them what they want to hear. And PayPal realized, well, shoot, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. If we fine them $2,500, they'll still keep getting donations. So let's just fine them all this time and they'll still get some of their money, but we will be profiting off of them. That was why this thing has existed for a long time. So anyway, the policy was, managed to state that messages which are fraudulent, promote misinformation, or unlawful are in violation of the policy, by extension, subject to the line, the acceptable use policy. So, after drawing intense backlash from commentators saying the policy could infringe upon free speech, the company rescinded the line, the policy, citing misinformation, and issued a statement saying it was posted in error on Monday, October 10th. PayPal is not fining people for misinformation, and this language was never intended to be inserted into our policy. And then Elon Musk, of course, typed in agreed on Twitter. But people have noticed that the $2,500 fine is still in the policy, but it says something a little different now. So I've highlighted the important part. PayPal's website still lists provide false, inaccurate, or misleading information under the restricted activities portion of its policy. Violating the restricted activities portion does not result automatically in the $2,500 fine that breaching the acceptable use agreement does, but it may still result in charges, account suspension, or other punitive actions. So what does this mean? Well, basically, this is this is the misinformation policy, just reworded a little differently. It's extremely vague. It doesn't really cite what they're talking about. I mean, granted, they do say that this is under restricted activities, so that might narrow it down to language that is threatening, inciting of violence, things like that. So something tells me that if you say you don't like Black Panther, or that you don't think that Black Panther is a good movie, which I do believe it's a good movie. In fact, I think Black Panther is definitely one of the better Marvel movies in the canon, if you will, or the MCU. But the thing is, now saying that you do not think Black Panther is a good movie would not fall under the hate speech or whatever. Now it's restricted activity. So if you start saying, hey, I'm going to go get my weapons, whatever they might be, and I'm going to go take back the country, that might fall under restricted activities. That's potentially inciting violence. If you say, we need to shun this person, everybody go and spam the person's account with all these messages, that might fall under the restricted activities because that's inciting a mob. So there's probably something in the restricted activities. You'd have to go to the PayPal terms of service and see what restricted activities actually mean. But the bottom line is the $2,500 penalty did not go away. Not really. I mean, they reworded it and they've probably narrowed the definition just a little bit, but it's still there. And again, this was not about controlling free speech. That was never PayPal's intention. PayPal really couldn't care less what you say. The only thing that they care about is making money. And they have so many ways of docking your account for money and fees and stuff. It's ridiculous. That's why one of my biggest advice to people who use PayPal, whether for business or personal, is basically once you make that money, once you get that payment, withdraw it right away. Don't leave it in your PayPal account, because you never know when your account's going to get suspended and when that money's going to get locked. And you might eventually get the money, but it could take months to get it, because PayPal primarily makes money from interest that sits in PayPal accounts. And so they are just incentivized to hold on to your money as much as possible and for as long as possible. So anyway, that's where we're going to end this little rant. So yeah, the $2,500 fine is still there, but it was there for a long time. They've just changed the language a little bit so that it can't be as misused, but it could still be misused on there. And so if you have PayPal and you use it for business or whatever, don't leave money in there. Withdraw all the money that you can right away and transfer to a bank account where you can transfer the money out to another bank account and leave very little money in that account that PayPal is connected to. It's just something that, unfortunately, if you run a business, you have to consider, because PayPal has been that shady for a very, very long time. So anyway, that is where we're going to end this one. What do you think about this? Are you still going to use PayPal? Did you leave PayPal over this controversy? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.